Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com. It's Tuesday, it's time for a quick Disney Plus news roundup. We're going to be talking about Hocus Pocus 3, also going to be talking about some job cuts at Pixar and much more. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news, and let's jump into it. Okay, so let's talk off first about Hocus Pocus 3, because it has been confirmed over the weekend during an interview with the New York Times that Walt Disney Studios president Sean Bailey confirmed that they are in fact working on a third Hocus Pocus film. Obviously, the huge success of Hocus Pocus 2 last year on Disney Plus, it was massively successful. It was the most watched film premiere on Disney Plus domestically in the United States to date, based on the hours streamed in the first 3 days of release. Now, we don't know if this one is going to be released on Disney Plus or if it's going to go to cinemas first. I suspect more likely probably maybe go towards the cinemas now, just kind of because they want to make more money on it. There is over 50 different projects currently in development at Walt Disney Studios, confirming that we've got live action remakes of Moana, Lilo and Stitch, and also Hercules. So lots of stuff to look forward to. But yeah, looks like we can add Hocus Pocus 3 to the list of stuff. Are you excited about this? Let me know in the comments below, and obviously you can watch the first 2 films on Disney Plus right now. Also over the weekend, it was confirmed by the Directors Guild of America that they have reached a tentative agreement with the Hollywood studios, which means they will not be going on strike. This means that they're going to be getting the money that they were after. They're also going to be getting better wages and benefits, global streaming residuals, which obviously will deeply impact Disney Plus. They're also going to be getting lots of extra additional content and extra help as well, including reduction in hours, better safety, and just a whole host of extra stuff that they required. Now, this is obviously good news for directors. There's kind of been a bit of a thing online, really, with some of the writers kind of saying, well, they've kind of gone on and got what they wanted, and kind of left the writers high and dry. But not only that, but the actors are set to maybe go on strike as well. They're currently in negotiations, so if they make a deal with them, might just leave the writers out. It's all very complicated with how this is all working. Obviously, we want everyone to get paid what they deserve. And yeah, it's just a lot of negotiations going on right now, and just a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, so the directors will not be going on strike by the looks of it. But let me know if you agree with all this in the comments below. Moving on from there onto some other bad news. 75 people have been let go from Pixar as part of the last wave of job cuts. So Disney CEO Bob Iger said earlier this year that they were looking to cut about 7,000 jobs this year. First wave and the second wave, and now the third wave has just been completed. Works at around about just maybe 3% of Disney's workforce. So it's not while 7,000 people is obviously horrible for those affected, it's just 3% of the company. So you just got to take that into consideration. There was much less people being hit on the front line at the theme parks, etc. It was mainly just executives. Some of the people let go include Angus MacLane, who was the director of Lightyear, and he's been with the company for 26 years and worked on a number of different films, including Finding Dory, Toy Story 4 and Coco. A producer for Lightyear, Galen Sussman, has also been released by Pixar. She's been working at the company since 1995 for Toy Story, and actually it's kind of interesting, she is apparently the one that managed to find a copy of Toy Story 2 when they'd accidentally deleted it, and so there's been a lot of press all over the internet about the fact that she'd actually managed to save the film. Now, Pixar currently employs about 1,200 people, so 75 of that, it's still a good like 6 to 7%. So it's a big chunk of it. But I feel like, with Pixar right now and with Disney Animation, Pixar's just not been hitting on the same level that they used to. Some of this is down to Disney Plus, with the films like Luca, Soul, Turning Red, all going to Disney Plus, which some feel has kind of like devalued Pixar a little bit, and the fact that you could just wait. Lightyear hasn't done so well at the box office, and then we've got Elemental coming out later this month, which apparently also is not tracking too well in terms of box office numbers. They're just kind of not making those films that are grabbing the big audiences that they used to. We know there's going to be a big shift coming. We know that they're going to be making a new Toy Story movie. But where this goes from here, I think ultimately, we see with all the different studios and stuff, they all go through highs and lows where, sometimes they're really at the top of their game and sometimes they're not quite. And sometimes I always feel, when they are at the bottom of their game, this is when, they can rebuild, get and come back up again. It's happened before, and it will probably happen again. This is something that just happens. You look at how long these companies have been around, it's just something that's going to keep happening. But yeah, so there we go. So that is obviously some bad news for everyone that has been laid off. But hopefully now that's kind of the bulk of the job cuts done, and now we can kind of see where they're going for. There was still going to be some job cuts, especially internationally, because there's a lot more rules in place. The US laws are much more like they can just kick people out much quicker. Like here in the UK and the rest of Europe, etc., we have much tighter rules of how you can get rid of someone that's been with the company for a while. It takes a little bit longer to sort out. And finally, let's now talk about what's new on Disney Plus today. Obviously, with it being a Tuesday, if you're in Canada, you got a brand new episode of How I Met Your Father. This one's dropping weekly. Hopefully we'll get a new batch drop of this internationally. You'll also find that new episode on Hulu as well in the United States. In our question of the day, Shin said in a comment yesterday, honestly, they should hold off on it, especially with the writer's strike going on. They could leverage some of these shows and use them on the networks in the fall, keep them as backup, just in case this whole thing prolongs. So I think actually this is a really good sort of idea, really, is the idea of keeping them and using them, if the writer's strike is going on. But obviously that $1.9 billion in tax write-off is a massive reason why this is happening. There's a lot of shows they could make with that. It's ultimately just getting themselves back in line again. And I'm not entirely sure if putting on, would put Willow on TV pull in many viewers. Would Big Shot? I mean, they've actually already did that with the first season and the Mighty Ducks. They put them up on Freeform earlier this year. I don't know, would that really work, or is it just going to be just dead space because people then look at it and go, well, that's a cancelled show? In some way, these shows have now kind of been tarnished with a brush, and therefore some people might not necessarily check them out, even if they were available. But yeah, I could see what makes total sense, but at the same time, it might make more sense to them to put WandaVision or Mandalorian on ABC to kind of fill the void, or some major big show from FX or or Hulu or something like that might hit a much bigger audience than what we've seen from the cancelled shows like The Big Fib or Encore or something like that. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think of all today's news in the comments below. Go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow and subscribe, and I shall see you guys soon. Laters.